Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Faithful. My name's Ben. This is my wife, Alexis.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about a few things that have recently happened. We're going to talk about her journey through pregnancy as well as a few things about her being a stay at home mom, stay at home wife, and why that's okay because a lot of times you hear about, oh, if you're not working, then you're not a woman,
Or you're
whatever, you know, however it might be. But we're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to turn it over to my beautiful wife here for a minute.
I think, was I pregnant on last year?
I think, no.
No,
Were you? I can't remember.
we can't remember. I might have been pregnant around last year, but I wasn't that far along. So, I guess it wasn't, I had a pretty smooth pregnancy. The only thing I really had was low iron. So that was pretty much it. He was a big baby in the womb, but when he was born, he was only 6 pounds and what, 15 ounces? Was it 15?
615.7.
Yeah, so he was almost 7 pounds. We thought he was gonna be about 8 pounds, but he tricked us and he was 6 pounds.
You were not quite pregnant.
Well, we were planning to be pregnant.
We were trying at the
Yeah.
time. It was August 3rd, and he was conceived around August the 15th, 16th.
So we got pregnant around that time. So like I said, I had low iron. He was measuring, like I said, a pretty big baby. He around, I think, my 21 weeks, he had fluid around his kidneys, and they thought he had a little spot on his head. And I went back the next week, and our beautiful little boy had fixed itself with God's help, of course. So, and the cool part about his first name is Ezekiel, which means,
It means God strengthens.
and his middle name is Jason, which
That
means
means He who will cure. So we picked names a long time before he was conceived. It was for a son and a daughter. And if we do have another son, we'll have to pick another name. But
yeah.
anyway, we picked him out for a boy and a girl because that's what we'd like. Of course, God might have other plans, but if it does end up that way, then their names will be Ezekiel Jason, which is his, and Zamira Eve is our daughter's name, or will be our daughter's name at some point. And that means, Zamira means song, and Eve means living. So it's living song is the way we like to
We
interpret
picked it
So,
because her daddy is a song leader, so we thought it would
well,
be fitting.
music is a big part of all of our lives.
Yeah,
and so we wanted to incorporate that, but we also really liked the way that sounded
Yeah.
for a little girl. So, but
Hopefully-
Ezekiel Jason is kind of interesting because the way we named him, he's going to have to be a doctor, I guess. Cause,
And he has
you know.
strength. Trust us, he has some strength. If you can hear him over here, he's mad. But he has some strength. This little boy, he came out the womb with his head, like, having head control. Like
some of it.
Like some of it. It was just amazing to see. So he, as you can hear, he's mad right now. So we're sorry, but we're parents now. So he wants to be around his mom and dad. But like we said, we won't show him because we just don't feel comfortable with that right now.
At the moment,
At the
while
moment.
he's little. Maybe once he gets a little older
And makes that decision.
he can make that decision on his own. But anyway, that's about the pregnancy journey. What about being a stay-at-home mom?
Well, I'll say this. Before I had a baby, I went through. I had to go back through
Y'all
school.
give me just a second. Let me take care of him.
Yeah, I went through school, and give us 1 second. I'm sorry. He, like we said, our family family comes first. So he wanted mommy or daddy, and daddy decided to get up with him. So, but anyway, being said, I went back to school to become a medical assistant, and while I was doing the clinicals, me and my husband got to see what it's like both of us working. Now, when I got home and he got home, we both very quickly realized that both of us were exhausted when we got home. We just wanted to eat and go to bed. We barely even really spent time together because we were so exhausted. And so we both decided right then and there after I was done, we both decided it was best for me to stay home, and then we got pregnant, and then I just, now being a mom, I just can't imagine putting my son in any type of daycare. Now if you do that, that's perfectly fine. It's just for our family, I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel comfortable being at home with him. Now, like I said, I'm extremely blessed that my husband works the job he does and to be able to provide for our family, and I'm very blessed to have a husband that allows me to stay at home with our son and be a stay-at-home wife and mom. Now, like we said, it is very much okay. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you're lazy. No, you're not. You're being what God intended us. God intended us to be a helpmate, and sometimes being a helpmate is being at home, taking care of the kids and taking care of the house. That way my husband can work and come home, and he doesn't have to, because my husband works a very tiring job. He's a mechanic, so he works he be very tired. So at least I can do is make sure that our son is taken care of and our house is clean. Now, thankfully, my dad's here, so I don't have to do it by myself, thankfully, because I was able to recover. Thankfully, I had a very good birth. Like I said in our last video, I got induced yeah, I went totally natural. I know that's shocking. Yes, I did it on purpose. It was intentional. I wanted no drugs, and I did it with no. Now, was it hard? Absolutely. Like we said, I went in Monday. I went in, I think 2 weeks before to my doctor's appointment, and they did what we call a membrane sweep, and I started having contractions. Now, a lot of people don't know, I was actually in labor for a whole week. I was in early stages for a whole week, so it was tough. It was tough. That's also why I decided to get induced, because I don't know if I would have went any longer, I probably would have not been able to push him out because my body would have been so exhausted. I was having contractions, but they were not consistent enough for me to go to the hospital. Now, were they painful? Absolutely, because he was a very active baby, so he wasn't letting mama live, and still don't. He wasn't letting mama live, so it was very painful. Like I said, I went in Monday to get induced, around that Monday evening to get induced, and they started the medication around 8 o'clock that night, and they did medication all throughout the night. I had 3 doses of that medication, and my doctor came in around 8 o'clock Tuesday, 7 o'clock around Tuesday morning. He broke my water, and let me tell you, that's when the contractions hit. That's when they hit. They were getting stronger. I was already when I got induced, I was already 2 centimeters dilated already, and 70% of phase. So for a whole week. That's also why I wasn't dilating any. So I went to the hospital once, and I wasn't dilating any. I was having contractions, but they weren't consistent enough, and I wasn't dilating. So they sent me back home, which was, when we went to the hospital, we thought, okay, this is it, because they were strong. We thought, okay, this is it. Got to the hospital. Our son was like, nope, I was just playing, Mom. I'm not coming. So I was in labor for a couple more days, and I was told, and when I went to my appointment, I was like, look, my doctor, as soon as he said, okay, you're 39 weeks, I feel comfortable getting him out. I was like, yeah, let's get him out. He was already measuring at 8 pounds. I was like, yeah, let's get him out before he grows any bigger. So I went in that Tuesday. My doctor broke my water, And he was like, "Oh, I'll see ya." Looks like I was already, when he broke my water, I was 5, 6 centimeters dilated. He was like, "Okay, looks like we're gonna have a lunch, baby. I'll probably see you at 12 o'clock, 12:30 for." My son had other plans for mommy, and when he broke my water, that, like I said, the contraction started to hit. I went from a 6 to a 10 in a matter of 1 to 2 hours.
Broke it at 6:30, and you gave birth at 9:30.
Yeah, they broke it at 6:30. Yeah, right. They broke it at 6:30, and I had him at 9:30. So, yeah, it went kind of quick. Like everybody, my friends and family, like, you actually went natural. It was no way possible because they already told me before he broke my water. Like, okay, if you want to ever do it, if you can get it, I would recommend you get it now, because if you go super quick, it takes about 30. It takes it about 30 minutes for it to even kick in. It was no way possible because, like I said, he broke it at 6 and I had him at 9. It was no way possible for me to get an epidural because every time they checked me, I was another centimeter dilated. And then last time they checked me, she was like, "You ready to push?" And he was already crowning when the doctor came in. He didn't even get the doctor's time to even put on his suit and anything. My son was coming. It was like, "You broke mommy's water. That's all I needed. Here I come." And even the nurses, his nurses and my nurses had to stand in front of me because he was coming, and he was coming quick. He wanted to come into the world quick. And my doctor was like, "Well, do I have time enough to put on my shoes?" They were like, "No, his head is crowning." And I pushed what, I pushed 3 times and he was out. So, and that's pretty much how my labor and delivery went. Now, will I do my second baby natural? Probably. I say that now. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully our next one is a beautiful baby girl, and then we're done after that.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. But 3 is our max. If we end up with 3 boys, we just end up with 3 boys. Now, I might be crazy by the end of it, but hey, if that's God's plan for us, then that's just what will happen. Now, my husband
he'll always change our plans.
Yeah, right. That's our plan right now, is to have 3. Unless God has plans for us to have more, that's our plan. Like my husband said, we don't know what God has in store for us. He might have more in the future for us, or 2 may be it. We don't know. But like I said, being a stay-at-home wife and mom, it is absolutely okay. You don't let nobody tell you you're lazy or you're not doing something for your family. Like I said, you are doing something by your family. You are helping out your family. You may not be making money for your family, and that's okay. I feel like it's a blessing, because I said to my husband when we were dating, my husband was like, "Oh, I want my wife to stay at home and take care of the kids and take care of the house." And I was like, "Oh no, absolutely. I would want to work, and that's just not me. I worked hard for my degree, and I'm gonna actually use it." Like I said, God had other plans for me. My plans was to be at home and take care of my family. So I know a lot of girls say, "Oh, well, I work hard for my career. I feel like I'm being lazy if I just stay at home." No, you're not. It's pure and a joy to be at home, especially now being a mom. I get to see my son be. He's, like I said, he was 6 pounds when he was born, and now he's 8. So I get to see him grow, and he's already doing stuff now at almost 2 months old. He'll be 2 months old in about a week or 2. I get to see him do stuff that, like he's doing stuff at 1 month, then he's supposed to be doing it at 4 months. So he's already talking, and
He just put on a 36-month shirt.
Wait, that's 3 to 6. See, he's growing. He's getting big, and I'm blessed to be able to see that and not miss any and my husband is blessed enough that he works 10 minutes away, and we're hoping that if we get consistent enough, and we're hoping that this becomes a career for us, and he's able to work from home and he doesn't have to.
We don't know.
We're hoping, but my husband has so many certificates, and he's not just a mechanic. He works on computers, he does air conditioning, he does electricity, he does it all. So I'm very grateful that I have a husband that does it all, and I'm able to stay at home and just pretty much chill. So
Yeah. No, I think that's about all. But I mean, I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with staying at home as a wife. But as a husband, I mean, it is very, very helpful. I think a lot of women in the world today, that maybe they're not Christians or whatever, but a lot of people I've seen have talked about that, about, I'm going to work for my own money and I'm going to pay for my dinner and you're not going to pay for me or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, well, if somebody offered to pay for my dinner, why am I turning it down? It's free food. But I don't know. That's just me. But I just feel like I guess a lot of, because of the way the world has changed things, that women want to feel like they're providing for themselves somehow. But that's not a requirement. I really don't think so. I really don't. If you find, now, we're very blessed with the career and the area that we live in and things that we have, because if we didn't have what we do, we wouldn't be able to do this, because in a lot of places around the world, and especially in the United States, it's not possible to have a single income household as early on in your lives like we do. Now, there's been a lot of different situations and things that have come together to make that happen for us, but it's not always possible, and it may not be. You might have to work for 5 or 6 years with both, your wife and the husband out of the house working. That might have to be the case, and if that's the case, then honestly, I would probably recommend not to have children until you're able to have the wife at home or the husband at home or what. Because in my opinion, now that's up to you, but in my opinion, I would rather have either myself or my wife be the one to teach my children, right? Because I believe that a lot of times, whether it's in school or in daycare or whatever, they're not really giving the same values as what I'd like to have taught to my children, because it's not quite what the scripture says or whatever, or it's not scripturally based at all, and so I would rather him be at home learning from us about how the world should be and how he should act and whatnot, than to be around other people that don't share our same beliefs and don't share the love of the scripture as we do, or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, I think that's about it, though. Anything else?
no, like I said, it's okay. Don't let anybody tell you it's not okay. And like my husband said, if you are not fortunate enough and you have to work, then that's okay. I'm not bragging like, oh, I get to be at home. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm letting people that are at home like me with their babies, that it's okay, and it's definitely okay. Don't stress about like, oh, I should be out here working, or I should be more independent. No, it's okay. It's fine. Like I said, I'm blessed enough to be able to see my son grow and know that he's safe and he's happy. So
I think something about that is that's exactly the word that a lot of people will use, is independent. People want to be independent. When you're in a marriage, it is a codependency. You are dependent on each other for something. Now, it may not be money, it may not be whatever, but at least in some capacity you are dependent on the other person. Otherwise, there is no reason to have a marriage in the first place.
right.
And God even says, or not God, but Paul, he tells in, I forget which book of his it is, because he has so many, but he does talk about, I think it's Timothy, I think it's one of the Timothys, but he talks about that it would be better not to be married than to remain a virgin, basically, than to have to do that, or at least to, I forget the exact word, but either way, if you can last your whole life without getting married, that's great. And I honestly believe that most women could do that. But as a man, and knowing how men think, a lot of men out there, now there's cases where it's not the case, but I couldn't have lasted without a wife, or somebody, whether it's about, sexuality and that kind of stuff. or anything. But even just more than that, for emotional support, somewhere to vent that I can actually express my emotions without having to, without the fear of or the repercussions of people thinking that I'm less of a man or anything,
Or you're weak.
because it's important that as a man that you have that opportunity to vent to somebody, whether it's other guys or whatnot. Every man, I believe every man should have at least one other man who they can go to and just talk about anything, and that's important. But I also think that it's important to have a spouse to talk to as well. If you can't, if you don't have another, a best friend or whatever, or even if you do, I think there's a lot of things that I would say to my best friend that I wouldn't say to my spouse, and vice versa. There's a lot of things I would say to my spouse that I wouldn't say to my best friend or talk about with my best friend. But now, I mean, I guess there's not a lot of things I would say to my best friend, but not talk to my spouse about it. That's kind of a different relationship, right? Your spouse is somebody you're supposed to talk to about everything, right? And you tell them everything. You tell them about all your past sins or anything that's happened or whatever, because they're there to help you through it. It's not about I'm in this on my own or whatever.
Right.
You have a spouse there to help you through it, right? Your whole life. That's what your spouse is for. But that's one thing I wanted to say about this, about having, being a stay-at-home wife or mother, as my wife is, that she really does help me with everything,
And that gives me purpose to know that I'm helping. Like my husband said, like I said earlier, getting married, you're supposed to be like God made us to be helpmate to our husband. And sometimes that requires being at home. Now, the stuff that I'm able to help, like set up doctor's appointment for him and do stuff for him, he's not able to do because of his job. He can't be on the phone all day trying to set up doctor's appointment for himself.
Well, and the time
all
that I
that.
can be on the phone, which is during lunch or breaks, if I'm going to be on the phone, I prefer to talk to my wife
Right.
at home, right? I'd rather not have to spend my lunch break talking to some doctor or some office or something somewhere about whatever. I'd rather talk to my wife. So it's a lot nicer for her to be able to call places for me,
Right.
so that I don't have to do it because I don't have time to do it. Because by the time I get off work, I've got an hour till places close, and that hour I don't want to be talking to somebody on the phone about something. I just got off of a long day of work. I want to come home, take a shower, and relax. There's other stuff about it, like cooking and everything else, and cleaning and whatnot. That's a big part of it, but at the same time, that's not. I help out with that too. It's not just
He does.
something that she's on her own with. Now, I may not be able to after, when I come home from work, get up and clean the whole house, but I can, put the dishes in the dishwasher, do some laundry or something if I got to. Now, we're blessed to have Pops here, and he helps a lot, and he does a lot of those things, especially while I've been hurt right now. He's been doing a lot of that and helping us out, but especially with Ezekiel, when I come home, I still have to feed him. I gotta, wash his bottles, whatever, and when I'm able to get back up and do all that stuff, I'm gonna be doing it because that's my role as a father. Now, my main role is to provide for my family, so to go and earn money so that we can have a place to live and food to eat and somewhere to sleep and whatever else, clothes on our backs, whatever.
Right.
Excuse me. But above that, I'm here to lighten the load on her, and that's important, right? It's about lightening the load. It's not about doing everything for her. It's not about fixing all of the problems or whatever. It's about lightening the load, and that's something that takes some time to really figure out, and I still haven't figured it out quite yet. But either way,
He's trying.
that's what it's about, is taking some of the burden off of her, right? So anyway, that's about what I'd like to leave you with. Anything else that you want to say?
No, like I said, it's okay. And one more thing is to find other stay-at-home moms out there to, hey, like, hey, you want to have a, and especially if you both have kids, like, hey, you want to have a play date, you can get out the house. You don't have to be in the house. Being a stay-at-home wife and mom doesn't say, oh, you have to be cooped up in the house. No, that's not necessarily. Being a stay-at-home wife and mom give you joys of taking your kids to the park, or taking them out to the store, or going to the store to get things for your family. Now, me personally, I love being a stay-at-home wife and mom, because doing things for my family gives me that joy, gives me that peace to know, okay, I can do more for them at home than I can going to work a job. That's just me personally. You might get fulfillment from going to work, but me personally, I think my purpose is being at home and helping out my family that way. So that's what I want to leave you with.
All right. Well, we're going to end the video here. Thanks for watching Faithful, and like we always say, study the Word for yourself. We might not have done too much about the Scripture today, but there is a lot in the Scripture about being a husband and wife, and it's important to read that. And we probably will post a video eventually about
Being
that
Christian
topic,
husband and wife.
about what God says about being a husband and being a wife. But at least for now, go read the Scripture, and you might find those passages, and that'd be good. There's a lot in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, about it. There's a lot in other places as well, Ephesians 5 and Colossians 3. There's a lot of it. But just, study for yourself. Don't just believe us.
Right.
But anyway, thanks for watching Faithful, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.